Ma'am, if you could just remain standing and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
If you could please be seated, state and spell your name for the record.
Detective Kayla, K-A-Y-L-A, last name Bjerke, B-J-E-R-K-E.
You're a detective with the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office, correct?
Correct.
Were you a member of the search team that executed a search warrant on April 4th, 2024 at the location of 3161 South 39th Street?
I was.
Is that location in the city and county of Milwaukee?
It is.
Can you describe your role that day?
Yes, I was a part of the search team, so we had the Wisconsin State Crime Lab coming to help with the search of the residence, as well as members from the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office Investigative Services Bureau for the search of the residence.
Can you describe how many members of the Sheriff's Department were with you approximately?
I believe around 7 to 8.
And you participated in the actual search and are familiar with that residence, correct?
Correct.
How many personnel from the State Crime Lab?
I believe they had 5 or 6 that were assigned.
And what was their role that day?
Their role was to also help assist and collect evidence.
Can you start with describing the exterior of 3161 South 39th Street?
Yeah, so it's described as a Polish flat in Milwaukee. So it's a 2-story residence. The exterior, so the entrance of the residence faces east to the street, and then it has a side entrance that is facing south. So you would have to go through a gate to go into the side entrance that faces south.
Can you describe the neighborhood?
It's a multi-family neighborhood, single-family homes.
I'm going to show you what's been previously received as Exhibit 297 and ask you if you can identify what that is.
That would be the residence.
The front?
The front, yes.
Okay. How many units are in this?
2.
Okay. And where are they located?
So the first unit's on the lower, so the entrance to the lower would be the front entrance that faces east. You could also access the lower technically from the south entrance as well. And then there's an upper to the residence, and that would be only accessed through the south entrance.
I'm pointing to the front door, correct?
Correct.
And then the side door is what does that mean?
It means you just knock. I believe he was still inside the residence. I can't remember if we pulled him out or not.
Would he have been accompanied by law enforcement?
Absolutely.
Okay. Why don't you start with how the warrant is executed?
The main thing that they're looking for when they're clearing this residence is any persons that would be in that residence, and then they're securing anybody who would be in that residence.
Seen here, correct?
Yes.
There's also a rear gate, correct?
Correct.
And is there an alley that runs behind the house?
Yes.
And that runs north-south, correct?
Correct.
Can you further describe the outside of this house, including the yard and any garages that are associated with it?
Yeah, so there is a full fence that's around the backyard, and then outside of the fence is a garage. In the backyard, there were a bunch of holes along the fence and throughout the yard, and then there was a fire pit that was in the backyard. And then on the other side of that fence was the two-car garage.
Did you search the garage as well?
We did.
At this point, what are you authorized to search for?
We were authorized to search for
I'm going to show you several exhibits. I'd like you to look through them and ask you if you recognize what they are.
I do recognize them.
Okay, what are they?
These are all the photos of the exterior of the residence that were taken by the Wisconsin State Crime Lab.
Permission to publish these, and when I do so, I'll announce the exhibit number.
Go right ahead. And it's my understanding that the defense is not objecting to any of these?
No.
Okay, they will all be received.
What do we see in exhibit 298?
This is just going to be the exterior of the residence, so we were facing the street from the front of the residence.
Okay, so that would be looking across the street.
Yep, facing east.
Okay, and do you know if either your department or the Milwaukee Police Department canvassed any of these houses for surveillance?
I believe the Milwaukee Police Department did.
And I would ask that exhibit 298 be received. I understand that there's no objection to any of these, so I'm not going to make an independent request after each photo.
Based on the stack you have in your hand, the defense has indicated they're not objecting to any of them. So I'm going to receive the stack and we'll enter the numbers as you go. So you
Okay.
don't have to ask as to each individual exhibit.
Thank you. Showing you exhibit 299, what are we looking at here?
That's going to be the sidewalk. So that would be if you walked the sidewalk that's to the right, that would be going to the entrance of the house. And that's the sidewalk that runs along this, the south side of the house. And that would face the entrance of the residence.
Front door would be off to the side here.
Yes.
And then the entrance to the upper unit is where my finger is.
Yes.
Do you remember what this gate was?
I believe it was an all wooden gate.
What goes straight back here?
That would lead back to the garage, and that's the pathway back to the garage.
And the back alley.
Yes.
Showing you exhibit 300, what is that?
Just a closer up image, you can kind of see some of the different holes that were along the gate on the south, like near that south entrance.
Okay, you're actually talking about holes in the ground, correct?
Correct.
There were also holes in this fence, correct?
Correct.
And the holes in the fence allow light to come through.
Yes, they do.
Exhibit 301, what is that?
That's just a closer up photo, so that would be the actual door to the entrance to the upper.
There's a light fixture here, correct?
Yes.
And this is as you would be going out into the back alley.
Correct.
Exhibit 302, what is that?
So this is just the opposite view. So instead of facing west, you're now facing east. You're looking back out towards the street, which would be South 39th Street. So you're facing out to the street, looking out the gates.
Exhibit 452, what is that?
So that would be standing in the alley facing the street, South 39th Street. So looking straight down.
So facing the opposite direction.
Correct.
And then the gate is now closed out the front, correct?
Correct.
And you can see that it allows light through, correct?
Correct.
Exhibit 338, what is that?
That would be the garage, and then more of that back pathway, and then the alley would be right behind the garage.
Exhibit 379, what is that?
That would be the fencing along the back of the garage and all the items that were located in the back.
Exhibit 340,
The patio furniture behind the residence.
Exhibit 339,
That would be the fence as well as the garage.
Exhibit 341.
The fence and the garages again.
Do you recall anything specific about this back gate?
I do not.
Before we leave the photos of the backyard, did you and or your team search the entirety of that backyard?
Yes, we did.
Did you locate anything?
No, we did not.
Can you describe how that search proceeded?
Yeah, we searched the different items. We did search through the ground, see if anything had been recently moved. We did move some of the dirt around to see if anything had been moved around recently, but we were unable to locate anything.
Exhibit 342.
That would be the entrance to the alley in the garage from the fence.
Facing the alley,
Yes,
and the gate is open, correct?
correct.
Exhibit 344.
That would be from the alley facing the fence line, so, and now the fence is closed.
Exhibit 451.
Just another view from the alley, and then with the gate open.
Exhibit 450.
There was a trailer parked, so we had the trailer and then with the fence open.
Okay, you executed more than one search warrant, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and these photos are all together, but we see this photo with the trailer, and then there's this photo, exhibit 344, with no trailer, correct?
Correct.
Were these two photographs taken on different dates?
Yes, they were.
When was the secondary search warrant?
It was the next day. So the original search warrant was 4-4. The secondary search warrant was 4-5.
Was there also a search warrant that was executed on the 16th?
Yes, there was.
Okay. Exhibit 450, was that from the 16th?
Yes.
Exhibit 343.
That would be the back slab that's next to the garage from the alley.
And now we're back to April 4th, correct?
Correct.
Exhibit 345.
That would be the entrance to the garage in the back alley.
Can you describe the interior of the garage?
Yes, it had multiple tools, different items in it. I believe it had different articles in it, nothing of evidentiary value.
Exhibit 347, to get my up and down right here. What are we looking at?
It's going to be the interior of the garage.
From the door?
Correct.
There's a vehicle here.
Yes.
Can you describe that vehicle?
Yeah, it was a white truck. Obviously, it was missing a tire and part of the wheel, and then there was also a couch there.
Exhibit 348, what is that?
There was also a motorcycle or some type of electric or motorized bike that was in the garage.
Exhibit 349.
Just a close-up video or picture to say of more items located in the garage.
Exhibit 350.
Just a picture of the items that were on the shelves in the garage.
Such as?
Gas cans, several of them, and the different power tools at the bottom.
351 is what?
A close-up of the power tools that were located.
And you actually searched the garage yourself?
Yes.
After the garage search, where did you go?
into the interior of the residence.
And I'd like to have you describe how you got into the interior and what you see upon entering.
So the interior was already secured by the SWAT team, so we were able to enter already. The house was open for us to go into. So upon entering through that south entrance was a series of small stairs. So you took a few stairs up, and then there was the entrance to the lower. And then after that, there was a series of a winding staircase, and then that would be the entrance to the upper of the residence.
Was there a basement?
There was.
How did you access that?
And that was on the other side of the stairwell when you entered. So on the left side would be the entrance up, and then on the right side would be the entrance down to the basement.
Did you search the basement or the upper unit first?
The basement.
And you have multiple other deputies or detectives assisting you with the search?
Yes.
If an item of evidence or something that you think might have evidentiary value is located, were you alerted to that item?
I was.
Would you consider yourself kind of the main investigator during the search warrant?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to show you a stack of exhibits, and I'd ask you if you recognize what they are.
These are all going to be the photos of the basement.
Why don't you describe the basement for us?
The basement was laid out in sections. So like I said, you walk to the right and it would lead you down to the basement. On the left-hand side of the basement, there was two sets of washer and dryers, and then like a tool section. On the right hand, he had his dog kennels, and then like a pool table and miscellaneous items throughout the basement.
Did you locate anything of note in the basement?
We did.
Such as?
We located the Carhartt shirt that he was seen wearing on video earlier.
Are you aware of where that video was from?
Yes, I believe it was from Twisted Fisherman.
Where did you locate that shirt?
In the dryer.
The shirt that you're referring to, is it depicted in Exhibit 241?
Yes.
Anything else in the basement?
Yeah, there was also a bed that was located. It looks like they kind of fashioned a room in the basement that like had a bed and other miscellaneous items.
Showing you Exhibit 354. What are we looking at here?
That would be the stairs. So if I was standing in the basement and looking up, that would be that south entrance into the residence.
This is the basement area where my finger is?
Yes.
How about Exhibit 303?
So that would be from the south entrance. So you could see the few small stairs. That would be that lead to the lower of the residence. And then on the right-hand side, you can kind of see it's dark down there, but that would be the basement.
So this is the side door that you've discussed.
Yes.
What is this?
That would be the entrance to the first floor.
And what is up beyond that door?
It's another set of stairs that would lead to the entrance of the second floor.
Exhibit 355, what is this?
That's the basement. So if you walk down the stairs and face left or you face west in the residence, that would be the area where the washer and dryers were.
Plural?
Yes.
Exhibit 381, what is that?
The workspace area that we found, and that would be if you're standing by the washer and dryers and you face north now in the residence, that was his work area. It had like miscellaneous tools, nails, such stuff like that.
Did you take any particular note of what kind of tools?
Just miscellaneous different tools, hammers, different type of power tools as well.
Exhibit 382. What is that?
That's the workbench area.
Exhibit 356. What's that?
That would be facing east from that workbench area. So that was this makeshift room it seemed like he made, or that was fashioned in the residence. And then behind there was the bed.
Showing you exhibit 357. What is that?
That would be on that other side of that curtain or wall and was like a queen size bed.
What types of items were on top of the bed?
Miscellaneous clothing as well as different bedding.
Exhibit 358.
So that was facing kind of southeast in that makeshift bedroom. That was the other panel of like walls that was in there.
The clothing that you located down in the basement, did you look at that specifically to determine whether or not any of it belonged to Sade Robinson?
We did.
And did you determine whether it was?
We could not make the determine if it did belong to her.
Exhibit 359 is what?
That would be another view of the basement. So on the other, that would be facing, I guess, the north side, looking south. You can kind of see that different table with the kennels.
Exhibit 360.
That would be the shirt that we located in the dryer.
Do you remember what dryer you got it out of? Is it?
It's the one that's open right there.
So this one?
Yep, and that was facing on the west wall.
Did it appear that that was a clean load of laundry in?
It did.
Exhibit number 361.
Just a close-up picture of the shirt.
Is that something that you seized as evidence?
It was.
And what did you do with it?
It was packaged and put into property.
Placed on inventory?
It was.
Showing you exhibit 468. Can you tell me what that is?
This is going to be the shirt that was located in the dryer.
Can you open that?
Absolutely.
Could you pull that out and show the jury, please?
Is it okay if I stand up?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'd ask that exhibit 468 be received.
Any objection?
No.
It's received.
To your knowledge, when you executed the search warrant and we're looking at clothing in the basement, were you aware of whether or not Sade Robinson's car with articles of clothing had been discovered yet?
I was not aware.
Okay, I'm going to show you some more exhibits and ask you if you can identify what they are.
Yes.
What are they?
That's going to be the walkway up to the second floor.
Okay, let's start with exhibit 370. What is that?
So that would be the landing. So we talked about that first floor door. Then you'd be standing on the landing, looking south in the residence to that south entrance door.
Does that appear to be a light switch panel?
It does.
Exhibit 371, what is that?
So if you went up the few sets of stairs and then you went to, after you turned the corner from the first floor, there was a area where it looked like he kept a lot of his shoes.
At the time that you were executing this search warrant, were you aware of the Milwaukee County Transit video surveillance system?
We were not aware of it yet.
At some point, because you described that there were several different search warrants that were executed, at some point before one of those search warrants, did you learn about that video?
We did.
Okay, before which one?
I believe it was before the second or third one. We learned about the video.
And you've reviewed that video?
I did.
Okay. After learning about that video and then going back another time, were you specifically looking for certain items of clothing?
Yeah, we were looking for the clothing that he wore on the bus that day.
Did you go back and look at photographs from this particular search?
I believe we recalled from the photo, recalled from being in the residence, because we did not have these photos quite yet.
And what happened with the residents in between the different search warrant dates?
So from the 4th to the 5th, the search warrant, the residence was held overnight. So that meant that either a law enforcement professional was inside the residence or right outside the residence, made sure nobody was allowed entry or exit to that residence.
I'm showing you exhibit 466. I'm going to ask you if you recognize what that is.
Yes.
Is that something that you've seen before?
Yes, it has.
What is it?
It's Maxwell Anderson sitting on the Milwaukee County Transit bus.
Permission to publish 466?
Any objection?
No.
Go ahead.
So at least in one of your searches, you were specifically looking for the items of clothing that he had on in this video, correct?
Correct.
And what were those items?
It's going to be the shoes, the pants, that like gray, black tinted zip up, and then it looks like the camouflage backpack.
Did you see other angles of that camouflage backpack?
I did.
You're familiar with what it looks like?
I am.
And was there something distinctive about the shoes?
Yes, it's the brown with the white soles.
Did you find any of the items that you just listed in any of your search warrants?
Only located the shoes. Or sorry, we did not locate anything.
You did not locate the shoes?
No, we did not, sorry.
And you didn't locate the sweatshirt?
Nope.
Or jacket?
No.
And you did not locate the camouflage backpack?
Correct.
Showing you exhibit.
Attorney Newport, when you put them up, could you have it where the sticker's visible if possible as well? Thank you.
Okay, showing you exhibit 332, what is that?
That's going to be the view from the second floor. So if you're on the second floor, right near the second floor entrance, and you would look down the stairs.
And you testified specifically that there were shoes in this kind of stairway hall area.
Correct.
Okay. But none of those shoes were the shoes on the transit video.
Correct.
Showing you exhibit 333, what is that?
That's going to be the stair, like hallway. That's still standing up at that second floor entrance, looking down the hallway, and just more shoes, jackets, and different items of clothing.
Exhibit 304, what is that?
That's going to be actually standing inside the residence, so standing inside that second floor residence, looking down the stairs.
I'm going to show you another stack of exhibits, and I'd ask you to look through them and see if you are familiar with them.
This is all gonna be photos of the interior of the second floor residence, which is that 3161.
I'd like you to start by describing what the upper unit of that residence, how it's configured, and what in general you observed.
Absolutely. So when you enter the residence, and the door was open, on the left-hand side, it was like a one-bedroom, one living room, one bathroom residence. So on the left-hand side, if you immediately turned left, was gonna be the kitchen. On the other side of the kitchen was the bedroom. And then if you went straight forward, it would be the bathroom. On the right-hand side was gonna be the living area, with another room and a closet.
Can you describe how you and other law enforcement proceeded to search that?
Yes, so once photos were done of the whole entire residence, right, so we needed to have photos to make sure we knew what the residence looked like prior to searching. So photos were done of every single room, and after photos were done, we were able to start searching. So you would assign 2 or more to each room, and you would search the room. Once that room was searched by those 2 people, the room would then be switched and turned over to a second group of 2 people to have a second set of eyes on the room.
Can you describe what the crime lab members were doing?
Yes, so they were taking photos as well as helping with the search, and assisting in any way they could.
Were they looking for any stains that could possibly contain DNA?
They were.
And if they located one of those stains, did they alert you to it?
Yes, and they would also mark it and then test it.
Can you just in general describe that process?
Yes, so they would mark it with a sticker to show what the area was of the stain. They would do their test, and then they would take a photo again to show what the swabs did, and then they would let us know if it was positive or negative.
So they're actually looking for something that they could visibly see with their eyes.
Correct.
How big were these stains?
Very minuscule.
Can you give a description?
Probably I would say the end of like an eraser tip or smaller.
Okay, what items of evidence did you collect from the interior of the upper unit?
We recovered knives that were located in the upper. There was a firearm that was located in the upper. There was also sheets that were located, as well as different notebooks, notes, and stuff like that.
How many knives were found?
A total of 51 just from the kitchen.
Just from the kitchen? Were there knives elsewhere?
There were.
Do you know how many knives were elsewhere?
I do not have that number.
Okay, showing you exhibit 305. What is that?
So that's upon entering the residence, so you can see the doors on your left-hand side. And then you're looking straight, which would be looking north inside the residence. So that's the bathroom, as well as a ladder. Ladder was moved in there for the SWAT team. They did have to search. There was an attic above the residence, so we did have to search the attic to make sure nobody was up there.
So is the ladder something that was there before, or is that a law enforcement ladder?
I believe that was there before, but we did use it.
What was in the attic, if anything?
Some sheets from bedding was up there.
Exhibit 306 is what?
A ladder, and then behind the ladder you can see facing east would be that living room.
So this is the living room?
Correct.
These front windows here face out onto 39th Street?
Yes, they do.
That's the front of the house.
Correct.
Bathroom where my finger is?
Yes.
Exhibit number 307 is what?
That would be the closet that was on the right-hand side, and then if you looked out east, that's those big windows in that living room.
Exhibit 308. what?
That's gonna be the living room,
Okay, facing which direction?
east again, so facing out to 39th Street.
Exhibit 309, what is that?
That's gonna be the armoire, if I'm saying it correctly. And then as well as the desk and the couch that were located in the living room.
Exhibit 310, what is that?
It's gonna be the couch and still facing east in the residence.
Okay, you're talking about where my finger is, correct?
Correct.
Okay, what color is the couch?
Red.
What does it appear the material is?
It was like a pleather or leather.
Kind of a shiny surface?
Correct.
What else is in the living room here that you can see?
He had another secondary like couch or cushion, and then he had like a big ottoman, and then or like something to put your foot on, and then the TV, and then on the other side he had his computers and different items.
Okay, and I'm actually going to have you step off the witness stand and kind of point to these things. I'll bring you a microphone. Why don't you walk us through?
So over here, this is that big armoire over here, and then you have his TV, and then his couch was right here, and there was that other cushioned seat. He had this small little table over here, his cushion, and then on the other side there was like another seat, and then his computer and setup was over there.
Okay, this item right here where my finger is what?
This item is just like a bench. We had like not a bench, but a dresser that had a bunch of storage that had different items inside of it.
Okay, what about this brown item here?
That was like a sort of like an ottoman, but just something for you essentially to like put your feet on or something.
What color was it?
Brown.
And what material did it appear to be?
That leather like shiny material.
The windows that face out to 39th Street, did they have any curtains drawn over them when you searched the residence?
No, the curtains were open as is in the photo.
Okay. What was this area?
Over here, this is his desk area, but this is that big cabinet that's on this other side.
Do you recall what else you located in the living room area?
Yes, so actually you're able to move this cabinet forward. We didn't discover it at first, but we were able to move the cabinet, and behind the cabinet was a closet-like area that had different miscellaneous items inside of it.
Showing you exhibit 362. What is that?
So you can see this is facing north in the residence. So this is where that chest or closet is, and then the closet would be right behind here. And you can see the flooring that it's on right here, and this is his computer.
Exhibit 363 is what?
That's that entrance. So you can see we moved the chest forward, and then that was the entrance to that room behind that.
Exhibit 364.
This is going to be that room, so the interior, so it had some shelving and different miscellaneous items inside of it.
Do you recall what was inside of it, what the items were?
I believe we just found 2 bongs. We didn't find anything else.
Showing you exhibit 464. What is that?
Most described as like a marijuana bong.
Something used to smoke marijuana?
Correct.
Okay. Moving back into the living room area, what is exhibit 311?
So this is facing southeast in the bedroom. You can kind of see the couch, the different tables, as well as the drawings.
Showing exhibit 335, what is that?
It's a close-up of the couch.
The windows are now covered with what look like plastic bags.
Correct.
Who did that?
We did that as well as the Wisconsin State Crime Lab.
Why?
Media came on scene and they were right across the street. And so with the windows being open, we couldn't close the windows and the blinds. So we figured we needed some privacy of what we were doing inside this residence. So we put those up.
You can see a police evidence marker where my finger is, correct?
Correct.
What is that denoting?
It's an evidentiary item.
What was it?
It was a red plaid jacket.
That red plaid jacket, why was that something that you took note of?
It was a jacket that was seen on video that Maxwell Anderson was wearing.
Showing you Exhibit 241, is that the red jacket?
Yes, it is.
And is that red jacket something that was recovered?
It was.
Okay, we'll come back to that in a minute. Moving on to Exhibit 365, what is that?
That's going to be facing east, so those are those big windows again, and then with evidence placard number 7.
Outside of these window coverings that law enforcement added, are these photos taken before or after the search?
During the search.
Okay, so are the items in Anderson's house as they were or as they were moved?
Most of the stuff that we're photographing, before you collect the item, you have to take a photo as it is. So you can show its original placement, where it was, and then after it's manipulated or moved, it'll show another picture of where it went.
Evidence marker number 7 in Exhibit 365 denotes what?
I believe it was a firearm that we located.
Exhibit 366 is what?
Just another close-up of evidentiary item number 7.
Exhibit 367 is what?
It's going to be that close-up picture of evidentiary item number 7, which is a firearm.
Do you know what kind?
I believe it was a Glock. I can't recall exactly.
Exhibit number 312.
That's going to be the living room.
Again, that red couch and brown ottoman.
Correct.
Showing you Exhibit 372, what is that?
That same brown ottoman and red couch.
Okay, that brown ottoman as it relates to its position near the red couch, is that how you found it?
Yes.
Can you also see that red plaid jacket in Exhibit 372?
Yes, I can.
Can you point that out?
It's right there.
Exhibit 336 is what?
The close-up of the jacket.
The red couch where my finger is, does it appear to be worn?
Yes.
Can you describe that?
I would say for a leather couch, it just appeared that it wasn't clearly very brand new. It was something that has been had for quite a few years where wear and tear would start to come in.
Exhibit 337 is what?
We moved the jacket to show the whole picture of what that jacket looked like. So that way people would be able to see when you take a photo of the whole jacket.
Showing you what's been marked as Exhibit 467, and you can go back on the witness stand. Identify what 467 is.
Yes. 467 is the plaid jacket.
Okay, could you open that? And I'd ask that 467 be received.
Any objection?
No.
It's received.
Can I stand up again?
Yes. Thank you. So, to summarize, you located clothing that the defendant was seen wearing in Exhibit 241 at the Twisted Fisherman, correct?
Correct.
The Carhartt t-shirt and the red plaid jacket.
Yes.
You did not recover any of the clothing that he is seen wearing in Exhibit 466.
Correct.
Showing Exhibit 373, what is that?
So that's gonna be his wall facing the north. So it was like a corkboard that he had attached. And then he had a bunch of different writings and drawings on it.
Why did you take particular note of some of the documents? Why is that important during the search warrant
Shows
execution?
ownership, right? So you're trying to show the fact that somebody lives there. If anybody did and went to any of your houses, you would expect to find utility bills, items with your name on it, your IDs, anything like that. So that's showing that you live and are at that residence.
And were some of those documents depicted in 373?
Yes.
Okay. Is 313 a close-up of that?
Yes, it is.
What do those show just in general?
Just different checks, and it had Maxwell Anderson's name on them.
Exhibit 374 is what?
That's going to be his computer area.
Okay. What is this right here?
I believe that's the computer, so the CPU.
Okay. Is this area behind the TV in the living room?
Yes, it is.
Okay, could this be the TV?
Yes.
Were these computers taken as part of the investigation?
Yes, they were.
Showing you Exhibit 465, what is that?
That was the secondary bong that was located inside of that closet behind the chest.
Exhibit 316 is what?
The overall of the living room, so just showing another picture of the living room.
Exhibit 317?
Showing another picture of that living room with that red couch.
Exhibit 318?
Another photo of the couch with the jacket on it.
Exhibit 384 is what?
It's a photo of the desk that was near the red couch with evidence placard number 16.
What was evidence placard number 16?
It was a type of knife.
And it's on a little shelf where my finger is?
Yes, it is.
Can you describe the knife?
It was a blade that was attached to what seemed to be a like a chicken head or something that had like a beak to it.
The knives were taken by the crime lab?
They were.
Exhibit 385 is what?
That's going to be the close-up of that knife, which is evidence placard 16.
386 is what?
Another photo of the knife, so they took the knife out of the sheath, which would like hold the knife. We took it out just to show the size of the blade and show the knife.
Exhibit 320, what are we looking at?
So this is facing west in the residence. So if you were more or less standing by those windows and you face the opposite way towards his bedrooms, towards the kitchen, this is what you would see. He had an axe on the wall and just different miscellaneous items throughout his residence.
This is the chair that you were referring to, correct?
Correct.
Did that chair have items on it,
Yes.
such as what?
Knives, different tools as well.
Exhibit 375, what is that?
The different tools and items that were located. It's almost like he used pants or something like that to sew onto the couch, and he kind of made it into his tool holder area.
Was there a knife in there?
Yes, there was.
Can you stand up and show the jury where?
Yes.
Do you recall what kind of knife that was?
Like a multi-tool knife.
Exhibit number 319, what is that?
Another photo of that chair, or like the arm of the chair, with more of the tools.
Exhibit 321, what is that?
That's the chest.
That's what was blocking the door to the closet room that was hidden?
Yes.
Okay, moving on from the living room, what are the remaining rooms in that house?
The bathroom, the kitchen, and his bedroom.
Okay, talk about the kitchen.
The kitchen had multiple knives in it. Like I described, 51 knives, several corkscrews, potato peelers, had some knife sharpeners in it that were a nicer quality. And then that would lead out to the secondary floors, like had like a balcony or sort of a patio area.
Exhibit 323 is what?
That's going to be the kitchen.
And what are we looking at specifically in the kitchen, and from what perspective?
So this would be looking from the entry door. So you could see the fridge on the one side, the oven, and then the sink area.
This window would face what direction?
I believe that is facing south.
Showing you exhibit 324, what is that?
That's going to be the kitchen, so that window facing south, and then that's that patio area that would be you'd overlook the backyard into the alley and see the garage.
Okay, so we're oriented here out where my finger is, that's towards the garage, correct?
Yes.
And that's towards that north-south alley?
Yes.
So this window is in fact the northern window, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, that's facing west, correct? The door faces west?
The door faces west, yes.
Okay. Exhibit 325 is what?
Just some of the knives that were located inside of the residence. He had it like on a metal storage area, so the metal would just hook up to the knife and hold it.
There's also what on the counter where my finger is?
Another knife.
Exhibit 376 is what?
A close-up of all the knives that were located.
Exhibit 377?
Butcher block to hold knives in the kitchen.
Exhibit 387 is what?
One of the kitchen drawers, so that's right under all those knives, right there, with more knives and miscellaneous items inside.
Exhibit 383 is what?
Those are going to be those knife sharpeners that are a little bit nicer to use to sharpen your knives if they start to become dull.
Those are what's called a whetting stone, correct?
Correct.
And how many are there?
It looks like there's 4.
Can you repeat that case number, please? The exhibit number? rather?
383?
Thank you.
That was in the kitchen as well?
Yes, it was.
Again, all of those knives that were located were seized by the law enforcement or the crime lab, correct?
Correct.
Anything else of note in the kitchen?
Nothing else.
Why don't you describe what room is next?
It would be his bedroom.
Okay. Can you describe the layout of the bedroom?
Yes, so the bedroom faced on the north side of the residence. It had a bed, and then it had a dresser with a big mirror on it, and then the closet.
Showing you another stack of exhibits, and I'm going to ask you if you know what they are.
That's gonna be all the photos from his bedroom.
What items of note were seized from the bedroom, if any?
We located more knives in the bedroom, as well as I believe we took his sheets.
Exhibit 326 is what?
That's gonna be his bedroom.
Can you describe, and I'd ask you to step down off the stand and describe what areas are what?
Absolutely. So this wall is going to be the wall that would face the alley. So you're facing north right now. So this is gonna be his bed. It had storage on the sides, and then you had his dresser, and then this is his closet area.
What was on that dresser?
Another knife, which is right there.
329 is what?
Just a close-up of that small dresser with the knife.
Thank you. Exhibit 328.
That's gonna be that wall that's facing west. So this would be the back of the residence, and then his dresser, and then a set of more drawers.
Were any identifying documents located in the bedroom?
Yes,
What?
we found a paper copy of his ID.
Did you find a wallet?
Yes, we did.
Showing you exhibit 334, what is that?
A wallet with his ID in it.
Is that an expired ID?
I believe so, yes, it was.
Exhibit 368 is what?
More items that were located in his wallet, so that paper ID, which is his Wisconsin Department of Transportation, and then different IDs and cards that were located.
Sorry, exhibit 369 is what?
That's gonna be that paper Wisconsin Department ID card. So it's just an identification card through the Wisconsin DOT.
Okay, I'm gonna actually bring you 369 because it's a little hard to see. I'm gonna ask you if there's any demographic information that you're able to read off of that.
Yes, I am.
I should ask, is there a height?
Yes, there is.
Is there a weight?
Yes, there is.
What's the height and the weight?
The height is gonna be 6 feet 1 inch and 175 pounds.
Thank you. Exhibit 378 is what?
So that's gonna be facing south in the residence, or south in that at least bedroom. So you're standing more where that knife on that dresser was, and you're facing, looking south, so that's the door that would lead you back into that entryway, and then the 2 dressers.
There's a TV where my finger is, correct?
Correct.
What's above the TV?
I believe we located just up on more miscellaneous items.
Showing you exhibit 330. Is that shelf?
Yes, it is.
And can you see anything specifically on top of the shelf?
Yes, we located another knife.
Showing you exhibit 388. What is that?
A close-up of the knife that we located.
Just going back to the exterior of the house and that fence and the gates, did you get an approximate height of the fence and the gates?
I believe the approximate height was about 6 feet.
The interior of the house, did it appear as though there had been a struggle inside?
No.
How would you have described the state of the residence just in general?
A normal residence, but a bit messy. Nothing, I would say, out of the ordinary for anybody.
There were knives that were found that were not in the kitchen, correct?
Correct.
And we saw pictures of all of those?
Yes, we did.
Did you also participate or at least view in the search of a Hyundai Santa Fe vehicle belonging to Maxwell Anderson?
I did.
And where did that take place?
That was taking place at the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office substation located at 10320 West Watertown Plank Road in the city of Wauwatosa.
Do you remember what day that you viewed that search?
I believe it was later in the month. I can't remember the exact day.
Was anything of note found inside that vehicle?
No.
You didn't find any of the articles of clothing in Exhibit 466?
We did not.
You did not find that camouflage backpack?
We did not.
To your knowledge, has the camouflage backpack ever been found?
It has not.
To your knowledge, have the shoes that are pictured in Exhibit 466 been found?
No.
As part of this investigation, did you receive information about Sade Robinson's Instagram account?
I did.
Okay, what did you receive?
We were able to obtain a warrant or a subpoena for the Instagram account. We were able to receive records from certain dates from the Instagram account.
Do you remember what the dates of the records were?
I believe it was from early February to the date, which would have been like 4344.
Okay, early February, meaning February of 2024.
Yes.
And as a part of your review of those records, were you able to see messages that would have been sent to Sade from other individuals?
Yes.
Did you, in your review of those messages, see any messages where she arranged to meet anyone on April 1st or April 2nd of 2024?
No.
And in your review of those messages, did you locate any messages that were threatening in nature or seemed to be violent in nature?
No.
Nothing further.
Cross.
Give us 1 minute, please, if we could.
Go ahead.
I'll just need to be buzzed out. We have a paralegal here with some items. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I want to start with kind of talking about the initial search, because it sounds like there was 3 searches in total, correct?
I believe there's yes, sounds about right.
So there's a search on April 4th, correct?
Correct. That was the initial search.
And then there's a search on April 5th?
Yes, but that was continued from the 4th.
Okay. And then there's also another search on April 16th, correct?
Yes.
sorry, there's a lot of photos here.
No worries.
The photos you're not using, can you hand to my clerk, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so I want to start, with talking about kind of the layout of the home and how it is set up with the neighborhood. Okay, so what we see here, this is exhibit 297. This house right in the front, that's Maxwell Anderson's house, correct?
Correct.
And then to the right, we see another residence, right?
Correct.
And then to the left, there's another residence.
Correct.
And these houses are all fairly close together, right?
Correct.
About how far?
Best guess would probably be like 15 feet apart.
Okay. And did you measure how close the houses are together?
I did not.
Okay, did any other detective do that?
I don't believe so.
Okay, I'm showing you 298. This is just another view that we can see. The house in the middle is Mr. Anderson's house, correct?
No, that's the other side of the street.
Oh, that's the other side of the street, I'm sorry. But just another view of how the houses are kind of aligned up right next to each other.
Correct.
Showing you 299. And that, what we're looking here, this is in front of the house, correct?
Correct.
And then off picture, you can't see it over here, that would be the front door, right?
Correct.
And then right here, we can see, that's the gate, right?
Yes, a little bit higher up from where you're pointing, but yes.
Right here.
Yep.
Okay, and then that pathway follows all the way to the where the garage would be, right?
Correct.
And then if you walk down that path, you'll be in the backyard, but if you continue walking, you get to the garage, right?
Correct.
And you can see on the left here, these are the neighbors' windows, correct?
Yes.
And we can see a window up here.
Yep.
We can see a window here,
Yes.
a window here,
Yes.
and a window here, right?
Yes.
And do you know which rooms in the house those are, of that neighbor or not?
I do not.
Okay, did you speak to that neighbor?
I did not.
Do you know if another officer did?
Possibly, I do not recall.
Okay. Showing you 301, here is that last window I think I showed, right?
Correct.
And we look at exhibit 302, we see this first window again, right?
Yes.
Exhibit, make sure I can, those are all, I'm sorry. See the exhibit number here. Again, neighbor's house, we see those three windows, right?
Correct.
Exhibit 340, this is the backyard of the residence, right?
Yes, it is.
And then, so this top part, that's like a top balcony, is that connected to Maxwell's residence or the downstairs tenant?
Maxwell's.
Okay. And when you initially came to search this house, you said the search warrant that you got authorized by the judge was just for Maxwell's house, right?
Correct.
So just the upper.
Yes.
What about for the lower tenant? Did you end up searching that? I think you said you did.
I did not know, but a consensual search was done.
Okay, by another officer?
Yes.
Do you know which officer did that?
I believe it was Detective Sullivan, Detective Lara Lorette, and Detective Brian Morgan.
And when was that done?
I do not know the date.
But it was done, and that's the downstairs tenant. And do you know who lived in the downstairs?
I know his name is Pete. I don't know his last name.
Pete Warmington, sound right?
Yes.
All right. And did you personally interview him, or did someone else interview him?
Attorney Finley, you want to use the microphone?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you personally interview him, or did a different officer or detective?
I believe somebody else did. I did not interview him.
Okay, and I guess the topics of this search, or the items that you were looking for, were for DNA, correct?
Correct.
And you said also weapons,
Yes.
and also belongings that could have belonged to Sade Robinson, right?
Correct.
Like clothes,
Correct.
jewelry,
Yes.
footwear possibly,
Possibly.
purses, any items that could have belonged to her, right?
Yes.
And when you say you're looking for DNA, that can include like blood, right?
Yes, I can.
Bodily fluids,
Yes.
saliva.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons why you tested different surfaces in the residence, right?
I didn't, but the crime lab did, yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But that's one reason why people you said that there's people from actually the crime lab who are on scene during this search, right?
Correct.
And do you know what's their role there? What's their purpose?
So they're the crime lab response team. So any like extreme event, such as like an officer involved shooting or a search warrant where you might need a little extra assistance, they'll respond out to your scene and they will help you in any way they can.
Okay, and these individuals on that team, let's say, they actually are doing the testing in the laboratory, correct?
They'll do the testing on scene. However, I don't know if they do the laboratory back when it gets back to the office.
Okay, but they can kind of help and give, I guess, guidance of what pieces of evidence they think are very important that could be helpful for the investigation, right?
Possibly, yes.
So you're also in there saying this should be tested, this should be tested, right?
Yes.
And then also people from the crime lab can also say, I think this should be tested, I think that should be tested, right?
Yes.
And so they were on scene performing actual tests and getting, I guess, I shouldn't say results, but getting some sort of analysis right away, right?
Yes, it was like a presumptive analysis, yes.
Okay, and what do you mean by presumptive analysis?
It was just a presumptive test, so it wasn't a full test. It was just a basic beginner's test of a yes or a no.
And what kind of things would it say yes or no?
I'm going to just ask for a sidebar at this point.
Defense.
Judge. All right, so I'm just gonna move forward just a little bit and just kind of talk about the order of kind of the search that occurred. So the first, I think you said the first place you searched was the garage?
Yes.
And I think we saw some exhibits of that. If I just pull that exhibit number. I'm showing you exhibit 348. So this is the interior of the garage, right?
Correct.
And you, the ground of the garage, that was, when you searched it, was it dry? Was it wet? What was it like?
I can't recall the condition of the floor of the garage.
Okay, but you don't see any like puddles of water or anything, right?
Not that I can observe, no.
Okay, and then 349, that's also in the garage, that shows that truck, right?
Correct.
And then you can just see all sorts of things that you might find in a garage, right?
Yes.
Like a snow shovel, tools. Not quite sure what this is, maybe a power washer or something.
Correct.
And then showing you 345. So that, oh, what are we looking at here? What is this?
That's going to be the exterior of the garage, and then the alley is right behind it.
Okay, and is that like a parking slab where a vehicle could get parked?
Correct.
And then is that the door, sorry, I should point on the picture. This door is the door into the garage, right?
Yes, it is.
And then showing you 343, that is also that's another picture of the parking slab, right?
Yes, it is.
Showing you 342. And so that's going to be, sorry. So that is going to be what a view into the alley, the back alley would be, right?
Yep, from standing inside the backyard.
Oh, that's someone standing inside the backyard taking a photo of into the alley, right?
Correct.
And you can see another garage, another detached garage in the background there, right?
Correct.
And this alley, it's you know, kind of a standard Milwaukee alley where we see you can drive a vehicle through it, right?
Yes, you can.
And then there's garages on both sides of that alley, right?
Yes.
Where in people's houses, they all have these detached garages, right?
Correct.
All right, and so, I'm going to show you what's been pre-marked defense exhibit 806 and 807. Should I have permission to approach?
You may. Take that microphone with you, though, so they can understand you if you're...
Okay. All right, can you take a look at those two pictures and tell me what they are?
I'm sorry, your paper is scratching across the microphone, I wasn't hearing you.
I'm sorry. So can you tell me what those photos are?
Yes, those are going to be the two photos of the south entry into the residence.
And this is the. I don't think I won. And so, what door of the home is that?
That's going to be the south entry, so that's where you could access the basement, you could access the first floor, access the second floor.
Defense moves 306 and 307 in.
806 and 807?
Yeah, 806 and 807, I'm sorry.
Any objection?
No.
It's received.
Permission to publish?
You may.
And so this is exhibit 806. This is the door, and if you're looking out of that screen door, is that where you can see kind of the walkway, right?
Yes,
And we see those rocks outside of that door, right?
correct.
And then if you look up on the top here, can you see this is kind of the mechanic that keeps that door open or closed, right?
Yes, I believe so.
And is that something that you looked at? Did you kind of test the function of this door?
No, but we came in and out of it several times, so I would assume it worked.
Okay, so you opened the door, right, and you closed it, right?
Quite often, yes.
And when you closed it, did it kind of slam shut because the hydraulic arm right there?
I can't recall if it exactly slammed shut.
Okay. And then showing you 807, this is just another photo of that same door, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then from behind this door, I mean, I guess if you turn around, that's going to be where the staircase is, right, leading up.
Yes.
Okay, I think it's a perfect time to stop for lunch. So remember the admonitions? Do you need to hear them all again? No, you understand everything? You got it? Okay, wonderful. Then have a lovely lunch. We're going to kick back up at what time, Celeste? 1:45. We'll open up the room about 1:15. Have a lovely lunch. Put this completely out of your mind till you come back. Feel free to bring coffee, water, soda. It's hot out, I think.